So here's my idea, a stock portfolio tracking app that has all the standard features you'd expect, but with the additional benefit of AI stock analysis telling you when you should buy, sell, or hold your positions. My plan is to have this AI analysis data stored in a Firestore database, and we can have the iOS app connect and fetch the data from there. But to get fresh data, I'm planning to have an AI agent scheduled every day to pull in all of the latest news, price data, technical indicators for the stocks, perform the analysis about whether we should buy, sell, or hold, and then update the database with that data. And then as for the price data, I think the iOS app can connect to any standard stock market price API to get that information. I'm not worried about that, but I think it's this AI agent part that we need to create a proof of concept for to make sure that it can actually work. In case you haven't heard of agentic AI before, it's a type of AI that is able to operate autonomously, make decisions, and take actions on its own. An AI agent falls into this category of agentic AI, and you can primarily think of it as a scheduled task that is going to operate independently and then perform its duties without you having to intervene. For our purposes, we want an AI agent to go to our database, fetch the list of ticker symbols, go out and search for the latest news, technical indicators, and price for each of those ticker symbols, and then to perform an analysis, and then also to go back to the database and update the information. And we want all that to happen without us having to trigger it or intervene or do anything. Now, there are several options for building your own AI agents, and a quick Google search will reveal them. However, I want to draw your attention to Zapier, who released their own AI agent product. They're sponsoring this video, so we're going to explore this new product and see how we can make this work for our stock portfolio tracker app. To get to this page, you can click on the link in the upper right corner, or right in the description below the video, you'll find the link. Click on Get Started for free, and you'll either log in or sign up for an account, and you can use this for free. You're going to create your first agent here, and we're going to click Get Started, and we are going to, go through these onboarding sequences. And then we're going to create our first agent. We're going to start from scratch instead of using one of these templates. But if you wanted to explore this, this one looks pretty cool, these two. But anyways, we're going to create our stock analysis agent. Start from scratch, and we're going to give it some instructions. So here's an example, but we are going to do our own. Every day at 9:30 a.m., I want you to go into my Firestore database, get the list of documents that have not been updated today. And then for each ticker symbol, I want you to go to the TradingView website and grab all of the indicators for that symbol, and then send the indicator data to Google Gemini and ask it to analyze the data and determine whether we should buy, sell, or hold the stock, along with supporting reasons why. And then I want you to go back, create a document in my Firestore database, or update the document if it already exists with the following fields in the document. There should be a ticker field, which is the ticker symbol in all capitals. There should be an analysis field where the value is a summarized buy, sell, or hold decision. There should be a reasoning field with the detailed reasoning formatted in paragraphs so that it's easy to read. And there should be a updated field with a timestamp of when this process ran, so that we can keep track of when it was last updated. Let's see. All right, so we are going to hit create, and let's see what this agent will do. It's going to generate the instructions for this agent to do its thing. It's going to ask us to connect these apps. Okay, so this is where we are going to have to add our API key for Google AI Studio Gemini. And I'm going to do this off screen, and I'm going to say, yes, connect it. So you can also go ahead and do that. All right, so there is a list of instructions here. What we're going to have to do is test this to make sure that the agent runs fine on its own before we let it loose and schedule this task for every day. So you can see on the right-hand side here, we can't test it yet because there are steps that we have to finish. We have to set the trigger. So Let's finish the setup by clicking this button. Select a time of day, 9:30 a.m. Let's do that. And we're also going to need, it says we can test it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to need my Firestore credentials. You're going to need to hit /, or you can also hit insert tools, and you're going to have to click add tool here and go to Firestore. Let's see here. So we're going to need to find records first, right? Find Cloud Firestore document, click this, and then we're going to have to connect to our Firestore account. Now, same sort of thing like we did for the Google Gemini, but we're going to need a project ID. Since we don't have one right now, we're going to go ahead and create one. So go to firebase.google.com and I go to console. All right, so let's create a brand new Firestore project. I'm going to call this stock portfolio tracker AI. All right, it's ready. We are going to go to build and we're going to go to Firestore database, and then we're going to create a new database. All right, let's start with creating our database. We're going to go with the default options here, and we're going to start in test mode so that we don't need to authenticate. All right, so let's start a new collection, and we'll call this collection ID stocks. And the document ID, we're going to have this as the ticker symbol. Let's use Costco. And we're going to have a ticker field that is also going to be Costco, and we're going to have another field called analysis. This is going to be like, let's say hold. We're going to add another one called reasoning, and this is going to be the detailed reasons why. And then we're going to have an updated field, which is going to be a timestamp, and let's set this to May 1st. It hasn't been updated in a while, let's just say. All right, so we have our sample document here. I can go grab the project ID here, project ID. We're going to come back into Zapier and we're going to put our project ID in here. And again, I'm going to do this off the screen because what you're going to have to do is log in with the account that you normally use for Firebase. All right, so we are good there. Now let's go back to our agent and the collection. I do want to specify a value. Let's specify stocks. And for the query, I'm not going to do anything because the whole point is the agent can make these decisions, right? So you query the database to find all documents not updated today. For each document found, extract the ticker symbol, go to the TradingView website. Okay, so for here, we're going to enable another tool, and that is to visit a website. We don't need to tell it what website. It should know. TradingView, if you didn't know, is actually a stock website that has different indicators and stuff. It's going to retrieve the info from there. It's going to send it to Gemini, and it's going to connect back to the Firestore database, create a new document or update the existing one, set the ticker symbol field, analysis, reasoning, updated. All right, save. Let's try this out. Retest behavior. All right, so the system doesn't work. Not back and look for a document I thought was before that. Okay, so it's self-correcting because here it was trying to use not equal to today, but that's not a valid argument. So it's now trying a different approach, and it's correcting it on its own, which is pretty cool. Not something that I have to do. So during this process, this testing process, you do have to intervene because you're trying to get a good process going. So it used less than, and it didn't find anything. All ticker symbols have been updated today, no further action, which is actually not true, right? Because this one was set to May 1st. I wonder what's going on. What if I set it to like April 23rd? Updated. I wonder if it's checking the correct field. The field, oh, it's updated in lowercase. Maybe that's why. Actually, now thinking about it, these should not be in capitals. So I'm actually going to delete the fields, delete the document fields. I'm going to add new fields. All right, now let's rerun this, retest behavior. Oh, let's see. I didn't get anything again. Updated. That's not right. Let's see. You know what we can do instead? I have a feeling that it's having trouble comparing dates. So we can store it as Unix timestamps instead. In case this is your first time hearing about Unix timestamp, it's essentially just a number of seconds since January 1st, 1970 to right now at this point. It's a running total of the number of seconds commonly used in computer programming, and it's just another representation of the current date time. And I think we can use this instead of tracking date time. So what I've done is I've gone ahead in our database and changed this field. Instead of a date time, I'm going to use a number, and I'm going to use the Unix timestamp representation of the date. And this should make it easier for comparison purposes. Now, the reason you see all of this is because I actually lost the segment of video as I was doing the next steps, and the recorder failed, so I lost that segment. But I want to show you again. So what I'm going to actually do is remove this document completely, and I'm going to change this timestamp. I'm just going to put I'll just put a couple of days ago, convert and get this timestamp. I'll put it into the Costco updated field, and then I'm going to run this agent. So let's retest the behavior here. And you can see it working. So this is the date comparison that's going to happen right now, comparing Unix timestamps. I also modified the instructions here to tell the agent that the updated field is stored as a Unix timestamp, self-correcting, and it was able to find Costco, which was really cool. And now it took that stock, it went to TradingView, and you can see here even the screenshot of what the agent saw. It took a screenshot of visiting the TradingView website. And then now it's going to send the information to Google Gemini, and it's going to give it all that information, and it's going to ask it to provide a recommendation. And because this is the testing phase, it's asking me to approve or reject this, see if it looks good or not. But when we have this agent auto run, it's not going to need the approval. Okay, so now it's actually sending the prompt to Google Gemini, and just so we can clearly see that something has changed, I am going to get rid of this field, or just clear it out. And just put reasons so we can just see the change afterwards. Okay, and so it sent the prompt to Google Gemini. Yeah, here's the results. Recommendation is hold, with all of this stuff here about why. And now it is making an API request. Now, the cool thing with this is that I didn't configure any of this. I added this action, and I didn't tell it what endpoint to use for the API. I didn't specify any parameters, and it is able to do it on its own. So it's, again, asking me to approve this. We'll go ahead and do that, and it is updating it. Right? So it's done it. So let's go check on our database. And so see now, it's updated the database with the results. Here's the hold recommendation. Here are the reasons. So it's pretty cool. We got this AI agent doing all of this work autonomously. Well, with our approval during this testing phase, but we can go ahead and flip the switch on if we want it to run on this schedule every day. Now, before I do that, we do want to check a couple more things. So to test that it works with multiple stocks, I added another dummy document, Amazon, and I'm going to just hit retest behavior, and I want it to find both stocks. I want it to then go through them and update the analysis for both of them. Okay, so it's calculating the Unix timestamp for today so that it can query the database. Okay, it's found both of them, which is great news. Okay, now it's found Amazon's price data, right? That looks good. So it's got the analysis for Amazon. Hold with caution. It's going to update the database now. All right, update it. Okay. Perfect. Let's see if it works on the next one. Oh yes, it's going. Now retrieving for Costco. Perfect. Now it's got Costco and it's going to do its thing. All right, perfect. So I don't need it to do any more. I am going to just turn this on, and what will happen is it's going to run itself automatically at 9:30 every day. Although we should just do weekdays since the stock market is not open on the weekend. And it's just going to go through this list and update it. And then now we can work on the client for the iOS app. Since I haven't worked with Firebase for a while, let's open up the documents, and we're going to create a brand new Xcode project. Let's go ahead, create this stock portfolio AI. Just gonna save it on the desktop. And I guess the first thing we're gonna have to do is to add the config file. Okay. Let's just save it in there. And here I can, oh, it's already here. Just make sure it's included in the target membership. Perfect. So I'm gonna add this file, add package dependencies, and now let's search for that. Add that. Click next. We could follow this instead because we're specifically doing it for Firestore. Okay, while that's happening, why don't take a screenshot of this? I'm just going to take a screenshot of it like so. Let's go here and we are going to do Firebase core, Firebase Firestore, and let's add those two things because it seems like that's what we need here. Firebase core, Firebase Firestore. So you wanted to do that over here, right? Let's see. Core. Build it. Okay, build succeeded. So what we're going to do next is we're going to use cursor to try to one-shot this. Let's open up the project. I don't know how well this has worked. I have not done this. So we're going to add a folder called instructions, and we're just going to drag and drop the image that we copied over here. Looks like that. And we're basically going to ask it to content view. Now, normally I add some rules and I like set up the project properly, but this time I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say the Firestore SDK has been added to the project already. I want to connect to my Firestore database and I want to retrieve all of the documents in the stocks collection. And then for each document, I want to display a row in a list, just like in the screenshot. And for each stock, I want to display the ticker symbol along with the analysis, whether that's buy, sell, or hold. And when that row is tapped on, I want to show the reasoning, which is a lot of text. In the screenshot, it shows a lot of elements that we don't have the data for yet. Just ignore any elements in the screenshot that we don't have the data for. Let's see how well that works. All right, let's go. Now, the proof of concept, the hardest part was actually what we did here. Just proving that this works is sufficient because in terms of connecting to the Firestore database, grabbing the data and building UIs and stuff like that, we already know that that's going to be fine. We've done that before. So this is just the gravy. Okay, let's see how well this does because it says it's finished, but I didn't see it create a lot of stuff here. Yeah, so I think the UI is going to be pretty basic. Okay, so let's see if it actually even shows anything. At least the build succeeded. Oh, look at this. So if we tap on this, oh, that's pretty cool. Now, I have not read the recommendations, and I caution you against using this for actual trading because I haven't looked at its arguments and reasoning. I don't know how good it is. Don't take this as financial advice. Don't build this, use it, lose a fortune, and then come back to me and say it's my fault because this is a proof of concept, okay? But it's pretty cool. I think for me, I'm not a savvy investor. but at least I can read this and then I can go look to see if the reasoning makes sense, or maybe dig a little deeper. It gives you a starting direction. It's pretty cool. It looks nothing like the screenshot, I'll say that, but I think for one shot and it building and running on the first try is pretty cool. So with additional prompting, with rules and stuff like that, you could probably build this. And plus, to get the rest of the data, to be able to input like the average cost that you entered the position at, so that you can track how much gain there's been or loss, things like that you can work on. But the main thing I want to explore is actually the whole agent thing, because this is the first time I've ever worked with AI agents. I would say that it was relatively smooth. If this runs every day on its own and does its thing, I think that's pretty cool. This is just one use case that I thought of. So if you thought this was pretty cool and you want to try out some agent scenarios yourself, go visit the link in the upper right hand corner or in the description below. You'll get to a page like this. Just hit get started free and you can start playing around with different agent scenarios. If you come up with something cool, drop it in the comments below. Let us all know. And I'm excited to hear how you are going to use AI agents along with iOS development.